us, maybe not. We've gone ahead and brought in an incredible guest speaker, Justin Johnson, who was a Salesforce alumni. I'll allow you to introduce yourself and all your background, but who's going to walk us through some incredible tips and tricks on how to walk into the end of quarter. Even if you can't see a path to success, what can you be doing differently between now and end of day Monday to help deliver results for yourself? How can you keep your head in the right space? And how can you look at your book of business differently than maybe yesterday?
Nice.
So I think it's really common as salespeople to think, with 3 days left, there's absolutely nothing I can do. And we're in a unique spot, a very unique spot right now with the price increase coming August 1st and a lot of different things that are happening, that we can really encourage our customers to think differently about renewals or product add-ons or whatever they're doing, or even contract restructures. Listen, like, we can take your whole contract, rip and replace it, and reduce your spend going forward so you can lock in some great rates. So now's a really great time for all of that, and so Justin's going to walk us through some strategies and some sales tips and tricks. So the next hour should be really invigorating. Please get involved, ask questions, and all you can do from here.
What's up, everybody? Can you guys hear me in the back? My voice don't carry too well. So, my name is Justin Johnson. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I am the worst half of this woman right here, Chelsea. And I'm grateful to be here with you guys today. I'll be here with you for about an hour. And for that hour, I want to share a couple things that helped me be successful when I was in your shoes. I'll also share some things that didn't help me be successful, so you can learn from my mistakes. And hopefully it should serve you with some things that'll help you for end of quarter, but also we're halfway through the year. So if you're not where you want to be on the quarter or the year, this can help you dig out of a hole, because I've been in your shoes. Sound good? All right. So, tell you a little bit about my journey, because I'm not just going to give you some tactical takeaways for today, which is going to be part of this. It's going to be a strategy that I've used myself. I've taught hundreds of times, so I know it works. But I'm also going to give you some insight into some things that are going to go beyond the four walls of Salesforce. Because let's be real, Salesforce is a vehicle for your life. You're all on a journey here. So how do you make the most of this opportunity that you have right now? So, and over the next hour, I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to yell as loud as I can, which is about this. I don't have much volume here. But I'm going to give you everything I got, so then it's valuable for you. I've had shit speakers before. I vowed not to do that for you. But I can't do it alone. In order for this to be impactful, it's got to be a two-way street. So I need everyone's commitment over the next hour that you're going to give me everything you got as an audience. Hands up. I need hands up. I need commitments. I need everybody. This doesn't work if we're not all in. Look, I know a bunch of you have traveled here. It's the end of the day. We got quotes out. I know you got things that you're running at. But I promise you, if you give me what you can do, it's going to be a good use of your time. Sound good? We all in? All right, cool. Let's go. We're going to get the blood flowing. I'll explain why in a second. So everyone, look at me. You're going to do exactly what I do, okay? So everyone, turn down a little bit. So everyone's going to get in the runner's pose. So you're going to stand like you're going to start it. You're about to go on a sprint. And your right hand is going to start on your right ear, like this. And your left hand is going to go on your left hip. Okay? And when I say go, for 30 seconds, you're going to run in place as fast as possible for 30 seconds. Everyone get it? Everyone get it? Everyone got it?
Yeah.
Ready? Set. Go. Go, 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 go. 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go, Court. Steve's got his shoes off. Let's go. Let's go, Chels.
Steve's actually running.
Focus. Let's go, 15 seconds. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. 15 seconds. Let's go, let's go, let's go. 5 seconds. Let's go, let's go, let's go. 2, 1. All right, great work. Why we do that? Number one is to have you already hating me as a speaker. But number 2, it's the battle of the forgetting curve. Anyone know what the forgetting curve is? Raise your hand if you've heard that before. The forgetting curve states that The average human being forgets 50% of the information that they're given within 24 hours, and 90% of the information that you take in within a week. So when your blood is flowing, you retain information better. So that's the first thing that we're going to do to make the most of this hour. Second thing I'm going to ask of you, take notes. Write them down, type them, whatever works for you. And here's why. I genuinely don't care if you ever read them again, but you retain information 2 to 3x more when you physically write it down. Okay? Number 3, the other thing I'm going to ask of you, I'm already giving you a lot of homework. Aren't you liking this? And we haven't even got to good stuff yet. Everyone, we're going to be doing some math. So have your calculators out on your phone. So let's be ready with that. Okay? So, my journey at Salesforce, I started 2013 as an SDR. I was number one SDR in the company, SDR of the year. Was promoted to BDR. Quota attainment as a BDR was 450%. Promoted in 6 months. Within 4 months of being an AE, I was number one in my region. Got headhunted away. Anyone ever heard of Zendesk? Anyone ever heard of their solution, Zendesk Sell? Raise your hand, that's their CRM. Right? Anyone lose a deal to them before? Yeah, that was my team. So I ran the sales org there. It was called Base CRM at the time. It was acquired by Zendesk for a few $100 million. Came back to Salesforce, sold in the enterprise. 4x my territory's output in my first year in enterprise, not knowing a goddamn thing about enterprise sales and fins. And then second year, qualified for club. Didn't go to club. I left before. Chelsea still yells at me about that till this day. And it was a great run. And most recently, I was Chief Revenue Officer of a technology company called FitGrid and was named top 40 CROs to watch in tech. I just tell you that because I'm not special at all. It was literally the system that I'm about to teach you is what saved my ass. Because my first job out of college, I bombed before at Salesforce. So I sold staffing for a year. Guess how many deals I closed in 1 year? Guess how many deals I had claw back in a year? So guess how I did in 1 year? 0. So as you can imagine, I didn't feel pretty good about myself. I joined this prestigious company, Salesforce.com, and I feel like a massive imposter. I'm the first one from my family to ever graduate from college. No one has any corporate experience. I stumbled into sales. No one's going to want to answer the phone when Batman's calling them, right? So I just knew it was only a matter of time before they figured me out. A massive imposter syndrome. Didn't go to an Ivy League school. I went to the Harvard of the Midwest, Northern Illinois. I got you.
Huskies, baby.
Go Huskies.
It's very debatable.
Long story short, I didn't have the background that I thought I needed to be successful in this game. Because it is a game. So I stumbled into the system that I'm going to teach you, and it worked for me. I was the first client for the system, and then this is the exact system that I used when I was at Base to help scale that company. And I've used again when I was in the enterprise. Used again when I was CRO. So it works if you put in the work. So let's break it down. You want to hear it? Yeah. All right. PCV. You guys love CV and analogies here? PCV. Process. C stands for conversion. And V stands for velocity. So, to give you a quick high level on each of these, process is the steps that someone takes in their journey with you. It's your sales process from cradle to grave. So we're going to walk through an example of what that looks like so you can see it. And then after we walk through it, we're going to talk through conversions. Conversions is, sales is a funnel. You all know this, right? Unfortunately, we don't have a 100% close rate of everyone we talk to. So you got to know the conversions. So we'll break through it. We'll break that down. Then we're going to build in velocity. So we're going to start top down with the process and conversion rates. Then we're going to build in velocity, and we're going to work bottom up so that this plan becomes airtight for you. And the first two are a good step, but I've seen many reps screw up and miss their number badly because they don't build in velocity. So I'll show you that. And these three things, you do this, you get the quota. Swear to God, it'll work. But something tells me if you're in this room, you don't just want to hit quota. You work at Salesforce. You're smart as hell. You're intelligent. You're ambitious. You're driven. You're not crazy. Got your head on straight, hopefully. So you probably want to go to club. So that's where the bonus comes in. So I'm going to give you some insights how to go from quota to club. All right? So I'm going to ask rapid fire questions. Engagement from the crowd. This doesn't work if you're not engaged, right? I still have everyone's commitment? All right, good. Step one, we're going to break down the sales process. What's the first thing that needs to happen in order for a sale to happen? What'd you say? Dial. You got to pick up the damn phone. We're going to make calls. After I pick up the phone, what needs to happen? What's next up? Someone else. Someone has to answer the phone. See, that's why she makes the big bucks, folks. So you got to have a conversation. We're going to call that a connect in this exercise. What happens when I call you, I interrupt your day? What's your name? Evan. So if I call you and interrupt your day and we speak, what's my goal for that conversation? Okay. And then what's the end goal of that? What's success look like? Schedule a meeting. Ding, ding. We book a meeting. So we call that meetings booked. I'm blowing you guys away right now, right? Yeah. Is this fucking mind-blowing? Trust me. Trust me, we'll get there. All right, so you book a meeting. Interrupt someone's day. Evan provided value, and they say, sure, you piqued my interest. What needs to happen next? Before that. They got to show up to the damn meeting. There we go. So they show up to the meeting. You have your intro call. I know you're trained on this. What's the goal of that intro call? What are you doing in that intro call? Discovery? Okay. What else? Building rapport? Earn the right. Trust. What else? Qualifying. Right? And what are we qualifying for? Is this an opportunity that I want to pursue? And do they also want to pursue this? Right? So after that first meeting, I believe would be when it goes to stage 2 or stage 3. I'm not sure where you guys are at. So I was when I was in your shoes. It turns into a qualified op. Now, what do we do with our qualified ops? We pursue the hell out of them in the hopes that we do what? What? Win. Good. Still blowing you guys away, right? Now, keep in mind, this is a very basic process. Every organization is going to be a little bit different. How you're going to run a process on a 4EE add-on is going to be very different than a digital transformation, right? But once you get this framework, you can apply this to your business with significantly less stress and anxiety, and I'll show you how. All right, so we understand a basic process. Let's build in conversion rates. Okay? So not everyone that I call is going to answer, right? So there's a call to connect rate. That's our conversion rate here. So for the nature of this exercise, 1 in 10 people answer that I call. So what's our call to connect rate? 10%. Not everyone that I speak to is going to say, I'm going to give you a shot and I'm going to schedule time with you. So in this situation, 1 in 4 does. So what's our conversation to meetings booked rate? What is that? 2.5%. 2.5%. Better than that. Someone else said, I think. 25%. 1 in 4. So, all right. Now, what I'm going to do, this right here, this is big. I've seen a lot of reps screw up their whole plan because of this thing right here. After you book a meeting, not everyone's going to show up. This is where they screw up because they assume they book a meeting. They don't build in a meeting hold rate. So in this scenario, 3 out of 4 show up. So your meeting hold rate is 75%. Now, reschedules are fine. That happens. But there's going to be people that you schedule meetings with that ghost you, right? That you don't hear from again. That's what I'm talking about. And you got to plan for that. Because if you don't, you can wind up way off course by one thing being off. So 10% of the people that we call answer. 1 in 4 people that we talk to says, I'll book a meeting with you. And 3 out of 4 people that I schedule meetings with show up. So I have these intro calls, and because y'all are great rock stars at positioning value and getting them wanting to evaluate, 50% of the people that you meet with turn into qualified ops. And of the qualified ops that you work, 50% of them close. Now we have some basic conversion rates built in here. So what the hell do we do with it? Glad you asked. Next thing I'm going to show you is to help you understand, to simplify your world. About simplifying your world. It's helping you understand how much raw activity equals 1 deals.
Yeah, anecdote?
Yep.
So what I love about this, and I think you all probably know this, is that sales is an art and a science, right? So you all naturally have the audience. You're all really great at like communication, swagger, and in-person meetings. That's the art. The science is what will take someone from being like a successful rep here and there to a consistently successful top performer, and that's the tactical equation for your own success. And that's what Justin is kind of showing us here, and it's what you can take and repeat month over month over month. Add that to your art, and now you're a 10 out of 10.
And I think Courtney mentioned this earlier, but just to reiterate, if you have questions, raise your hand. Right? This could be the dialogue. So anytime you have a question, raise your hand. I'll answer it on the fly. So this is not a wait till the end type thing. Okay? That being said, anyone have any questions so far? All right. So now I'm gonna help you understand in this scenario how many dials equal 1 closed deal. So this is where your calculators come in. So get them ready. So for this example, for round numbers, 1,000 dials are made regardless of the time frame. Okay, this is just helping you break down the activity per deal. If 1,000 dials are made, how many conversations am I having with a 10% connect rate? 100. If I have 100 conversations, how many meetings do I book with a 25% book rate? 25. See, this is why you work at Salesforce.
It's about to get harder now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, meetings booked and meetings held. Not everyone's going to show up, right? 75% of people show up. So, if you book 25 meetings, how many meetings are you going to have? 18.75? Is that what everyone else got? Is that the right answer?
Well, you can't have 18.1 meetings.
Look, I've shown up to many meetings hungover, so I may not have been completely there, but 100% of my body was physically there. So even if you have, so we're going to go against basic math principles here, which says 5 to 9 round up. Even if you're at 18.9999999, still not 19. So we round down. This is a mistake that many reps make. That'll have you a couple percentage points off the game plan. So if it's 18 point something, we round down to 18 for round numbers, for conservative numbers. Now, 18 meetings are had, half of them turn into qualified ops. How many qualified ops do we have in our pipeline? 9. We win half the deals we pursue. We're pursuing 9 deals. How many deals we win? 4? We sure it's 4? Not 4.5?
4.5. Round down.
Round down. There we go. You guys are getting it. So, quick recap. Makes 1,000 dials, have 100 conversations, 25 meetings get booked, 18 meetings happen, 9 deals enter your pipeline, and you win 4. So another way to put it, 1,000 calls, over 401 deals get you what? 250 calls to win one deal in this scenario. Right? Simplify it. Now that we've done processing and conversion, which a lot of reps stop here, and this is a great start. You're better than most reps if you're doing this alone. But there's holes in this. This is where we build in the velocity. Okay? So when we think about the velocity, these are some where there's a lot of aspects that go into velocity. I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples for this exercise. So the first thing to know is quota. Working at Salesforce, I'm sure I don't have to explain what quota means to you all, folks. So for this person, quota's $1 million. Okay? Now the thing to know is your average deal size, ACV, average one deal size is $50K. So what does that tell you right away? If my quota is $1 million and my average one deal size is $50K, how many deals do I need to win? 20. Divide 1 million by 50K, get you 20. Great, we're getting somewhere. Now, next I want to build in is the cycle length. Cycle length is how long does it take to go from cradle to grave? A lot of companies measure it from when the meeting's booked to when it's closed, aka when the deal's created against when it's closed. But the reality is that deal starts the first day you pick up the phone. Because it might take you a month to get them on the line, right? So in this instance, your sales cycle length for your one deal is 3 months. So if my sales cycle length is in 3 months, what does that tell you? Shout it out. Gotta make a lot more calls? But what about your pipeline? You're running at your annual number. Takes 3 months to win a deal. When does that tell you? What does that tell you about when your pipeline needs to be built by?
3 months before end of year.
3 months before end of year. If it takes me 3 months to win a deal, it doesn't do me any good to build pipeline Christmas. Now, don't get me wrong, Q4 magic is real. I experienced it. It's still one of the greatest memories I had in my professional selling career is Q4 magic at Salesforce. It's very real. If you've never experienced it before. And upsells, add-ons, cross-sells are going to have different velocities, right? And you hopefully are going to do this for your business. But this tells you, that's where a lot of reps screw up. Remember in the beginning I said a lot of reps screw up because they don't build in velocity? Because they say, man, Justin, I built the plan. I knew how many deals I needed. I knew how many calls I needed to make. Then I said in what time frame. And then like, it all falls apart. So it's got to be baked by the end of Q3 in this example. Right? Everyone follow? All right. So now that we have the velocity broken down, now we're going to do a bottom up. So for this scenario, you as a rep know exactly what you need to do to simplify your world even more. So we already know quota's $1 million, right? And we also know how many one deals we need, which is what? Do I gotta get you guys running again? Because I'll do it. Don't test me. 21 deals. 21 deals. Now, let's have those calculators again because we're going to use them. On this funnel, you multiply by the percent because you're going top down. This funnel, you divide by the percent because you're going bottom up. Follow? So, what comes before one deals? What's the step? Qualified ops. How many qualified ops do I need if we win half of them? No? 40. All right, what comes before having qualified opportunities in your pipeline? I'll give you a hint. It's right here. Held meetings. Held meetings. See, this is why you bust out the calculator, just to help you guys. So meetings held. So if I need to have 40 qualified ops to win 20 deals, how many meetings do I need to have to get those 40 ops? 80, right. Next step, what comes before meetings held? Meetings booked. What's the number? 75% show up. What's the number here?
100.
100? What else?
And 0.
You all have a calculator in hand, right? Divide 80 by 0.75.
106, round down, 106.
106, but not. We round.
106.6. We'll round down.
Okay. Who thinks it's 106.6?
107.
Who thinks it's 107? Raise your hand.
Oh, bottom up, that's why.
Who thinks it's 106? Oh. Okay, it's 107. It's 107. Why? Because you want exactly reverse funnel. You round down over here. You round up over here because you want to be conservative. So 107. I know it's all right, man. There'll be other options, right? So before the meeting's booked, what needs to happen? I need to have conversations, right? How many conversations do I need to have to book 107 meetings? Because I got a 25% book rate. Divide 107 by 0.25. 428. Was that without a calculator?
It was.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'd say yes.
Here's your prize. I'm extremely proud of you for doing that in your head, which is the greatest prize of all. So 428 conversations to give me 107 meetings booked, to give me 80 intro calls, 40 qualified ops, 21 deals. How many calls do I need to make? 10% connect rate.
4,200.
That's right.
Bam.
Add a zero.
I'm pumped to see what August is like. Girlfriend's going home and be like,
All I need is 4,200.
So, you got to make 4,280 calls to close $1 million. That sounds like a shit ton. Let's break this down. So, how long do I have to make these dials?
3 months.
Until Q3.
Well, now,
You have 1 year to close $1 million, and it takes 3 months to close a deal. So you have 9 months, right? So you have 9 months. It's 36 weeks. 5 days a week, 180 days. So let's break that down. 4,280 calls needed to make over 180 days. Do the math. What does that get you? 4,280 divided by 180.
24. 24. Let's round up.
Who thinks it's 24? Who thinks it's 23? 24?
24.
24? 23. All right. 24? All right, my man. 24 is right. All right. Now, let me ask you a really important question. Think about this purely from stress and anxiety. What sounds harder for you? Close $1 million this year or make 24 calls a day?
whoa.
Closing the. That's more stress.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 million.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the secret sauce. Breaking it down to what you need to do every day. Because this is daunting as hell. Especially if you're not where you want to be. So that's PCV. But let's get you to quota. Let's get you to club.
Yep.
So there's 3 things. Tips that I'll give you. That will make or break whether or not this works for you and you could take it up a level. Number 1. Know your damn numbers. Take the
takeaway, just so that everybody's aware. There will be an action following. You wanna know?
I didn't ask her to do it. She did it on her own.
You're welcome.
So
Thank you later.
take the time to learn your numbers. Salesforce measures everything. They measure how much you breathe.
Yeah, you can find it.
The data is there.
I have reports for all these things. Send to everybody.
So
Your best month and then do that.
take the time to learn your numbers and learn your numbers related to different deal cycles. Add-on versus upsells. 10K deals versus 50K deals. Those are very different. Right? Now, Let's say you're new to the business. Raise your hand if you've been here for less than 12 months. Okay, good chunk of you. So your numbers are probably all over the place, which is fair. Be conservative. Because the numbers that you'll get when you meet with your leaders are going to be averages, and what isn't average? It's a mixture of the best and the worst. And let's be real, you're probably not on the high side. And if you are, great, still plan to be on the lower side. Because I'll give you an example. Let's say you use the averages in this scenario, and you're new, just ramping up. Of course you're not going to be as strong. You're getting comfortable. You're learning the products. Learn how to paint the picture of the cloud. Let's say for this example, the only metric we change for this person is instead of having a 10% connect rate, they had a 5% connect rate. Just because they're not as good at getting the right contact information for their clients. Still make 1,000 dials. What is that? How much does that throw off their bottom line? Cuts it in half at least. Even if their conversion rate for conversation to meetings is the same, intro calls turns into qualified ops to won deals. Even if they're even a little better than average, they still are close to half the deals. This is why you got to be conservative when you know your numbers. Always be conservative with this. Number 2, revisit the numbers. This should be something you do every quarter. Couple reasons. First is you're going to get better. Your rates are going to change. Second is for all the things that are outside of your control. You're in a seasonal business. You sell to seasonal customers. Things happen very differently in Q4 in Salesforce than they do in Q1 and Q2. Right? You have to take these things into consideration. This is how you are on top of your business. Revisit these things. And you'll be set up for success. And number 3, which is most important, add at least 25% to whatever number you get here. And you're doing this for 2 reasons. First is, shit happens. I had a deal that was about to get signed at Salesforce. Signer had a heart attack 2 days before. We just came out of a pandemic. We may or may not be in a recession. Who the hell knows at this point? Right? But you never know what's going to happen. We work in sales. It's not a question of if you're going to get punched in the face, it's how much. So you have to build that into your plan. You have to build it into your plan. So instead of making 24 calls a day in this example, you're making 30 or more. That's reason 1. Here's reason 2. If everyone's making 24 calls a day, you're not going to stand out. You're going to be just one of the other people in the pack. So if you want to be the best, you got to do it. If you want unreasonable results, you have to do unreasonable things. It's just that simple. And here's how I stumbled into this. When I was an SDR at Salesforce, I already told you, I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. No confidence, nothing. And somehow I got lucky and I asked a really good question when I was onboarding. I asked them, how many calls do I need to make to be successful? And the answer was pretty consistent for those of you who are SDRs that rose through the ranks. You know this number. For me, it was around $50. At the time when I was an SDR, they said, you make 50 calls a day, you'll do good. I said, okay. Well, that's for the person who comes from a good background, has a good, sales acumen, which I do not. Right? I can drywall this room, I can build this whole thing from scratch, but I can't sell shit. That's how I was raised. So I said, all right, you're going to do 50, I'm going to do 70, because that's how I'm going to break even with you. And that was the reason why I was successful. Because I did it, number 1, to try to be even. But here's the genius thing. I learn faster than other people. Because this is my rules for myself every day. This is my non-negotiable. Every day I would not sign off until 2 things happened. Both of these things had to happen. I had to make 70 calls, or I had to be number one in American calls. Because every once in a while someone felt froggy. And that couldn't happen. Notice how I said a mayor, not my team. Because I was stacking myself against everybody. And I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I'm just like, just work hard. And maybe they'll throw you a bone after you bomb at the end of the year. And then when I won SDR of the year, as everyone does, when you see someone that's successful, you want to learn from them, right? Like, what's your secret? What's your secret? I showed them one report. Like, this is the only thing I look at every single day. I don't look at flips. I don't look at stage 2 bumps. All these other metrics that people cared about. I cared about one thing and one thing only. I did that same thing when I was in BDR. I asked, what's the average activity of BDR? I did 40, 50% more. When I was in AE, same thing. Given a dog shit territory. Implemented the same system when I was at base. Stumbled into a head of sales role at 25 years old, having no clue what I'm doing as a leader. But I'm like, all right, well, let's work at Salesforce, so let's do it. It worked. I didn't lie to you. I did lie to you all. There was one time where I didn't stick to this. When I came back to Salesforce, selling a market, I thought, oh, I'm strategic now. So now you're strategic. It means activity is not important. And halfway through the year, around this time of the year, I was at about 15% of my number. And my territory, my quota was $1 million. My territory, just for some context, the 5 years prior, the most ACV my territory produced the 5 years prior was $200K. So I had to figure shit out quick. Oh yeah, and by the way, me and my boss weren't really seeing eye to eye, but that's a different story for another day. So I had to have a really tough conversation with myself because whatever the hell I was doing then for those 6 months wasn't working. So I said, dummy, this works. Like, it's been working. Why don't you just give this a shot? Because worst case scenario, at the end of the year, if you're going to get canned or you're going to get fired, because that's probably where I was headed. At least I knew I burned it down. I burned it down. I controlled everything in my control. And I ended up scraping and clawing, and I got the quota that year. Is this helpful? Are you guys going to do this? Does this provide clarity into you in terms of a framework that you can use? This can be applied in any environment. I didn't just use it at Salesforce, I used it elsewhere. So think about this. This is a tool you can use for your entire career. If you aspire to be in leadership, this is a tool that you can use to set yourself up for success. The average sales leader at a company is, before they turn over, it's 18 months. It's the highest turnover executive position. And the reason why is because many of them don't know how to do basic things like this. Or they do things like this and they're overly optimistic. Right? It's not rocket science. Question?
So this is like about activity, like just putting in the activity and then knowing the results. Like, how much did you put in to point of views? Was it just making a phone call and getting someone on the phone and charming them? Or like, were you putting in activity, or were you putting in a point of view the day before? How were you
Define a point of view. What do you mean exactly?
you into, okay, you're calling new logos, pleasure calls, installs. So how much of that were you going in, looking at the website, trying to figure out, like who you were contacting?
Yeah.
So, because that's a lot of dials. That's however many a week. So when do you find the time to game plan, and is that important?
I mean, it's a must. You have to come in with a point of view, but you have to build in the systems to support that. So my non-negotiable, this is my non-negotiable. I did this first. Then I was like, all right, when I was in AE, I was making $40 a day. That's what I was doing. And was my point of view good in the beginning? Fuck no. But I got my 40 in. And then after I got my teeth kicked in, I got better and better with my point of view because I didn't finish my story earlier. When I'm doing more activity than you, I have more conversations. When I have more conversations, I'm learning faster. My talk tracks get better. So when I was in SDR, I kept my activity the same and I was getting better than everyone, faster than them. Think about that, the compounding effect. So I did that first. That's always the non-negotiable. You nail that. And in the beginning, I'm not exaggerating. I'm late nights, whatever I got to do to prepare for the next day, have my point of views ready, do my research. But then what happened is I got better at building systems around it. So then instead of doing 10 minutes of research before doing a call, I could do it in 30 seconds. Because when you do it enough, you build in the systems. A classic system that I always use is I would call one title a day. I would only call sales leaders in a day because sales leaders care about the top same 3 or 4 things every day.
All same for industry, yes.
Same industry.
Same thing, over and over.
You segment
High
it.
level, super simple.
Because once you grasp an industry or a role or a position, 90% of it's the same. It's just the nuances of some jargon around it.
And to Justin's point with the funnel, like the thing I love the most about this type of methodology is your goal is the next step. Your goal isn't $1 million. Your goal isn't the close deal. Your goal is in securing the next step. And if you create those kind of like pathways in your mind, you'll start to feel more successful throughout the day because you'll have created like, you're hitting goalposts versus the close deal is the win.
Is that helpful? January 16, 2000. New millennium just hit. I was 10 years old at the time. And 2 days before this, it's MLK weekend. 2 days before this, I remember I was all giddy because I was begging my mom for months. And she finally, we're up in our cabin in Wisconsin. She gives me this crisp $100 bill. And I run over to my uncle's house. It's next door. I'm all excited because I go, with that $100, I buy this piece of shit snowmobile off my uncle. That was a hand-me-down. But to me, it was the coolest thing ever. And it was a kid snowmobile. And because I grew up snowmobiling in our family. And it was this thing with the cousins, like, oh, once you can ride a snowmobile on your own, you're like, you're cool. As a 10-year-old, I made it. And I remember being super jazzed about it. So fast forward, January 16th, I'm riding in the field on my family's property with my cousin. And I'm riding around, having a good time. And then lights went out. I don't know how long I was out for. Might have been a couple seconds, could have been a couple minutes. And I just woke up and I just felt like the wind knocked out of me. You ever have that feeling? Right? You just like can't catch your breath. And I was just like sitting there. I was on all fours. I didn't really know what was going on. For some reason, my helmet was off. And my cousin comes up to me. He's 15 at the time. He said, what's up? And the only words I could think to say is, help me. And I was out of it. I was woozy. But he put me on the back of his snowmobile and rode me back to the house, which is a few hundred yards away. Get to the house. He leaves me on the back of the snowmobile. And I was out of it. Again, it was like I just had my bell rung, right? It's like, things kind of make sense, things kind of don't. Can't really catch my breath. He runs inside. And he grabs my aunt, my mom, and my grandma are inside. And says, hey, hurry, Justin's hurt, come outside. Something was up. They come outside. And I'm sitting here, imagine I'm 10 years old, I'm slumped over like this. Just out of it, I'm awake. I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. I'm just out of it. And they quickly realized something was terribly wrong. First thing they said was, we need to get him to the hospital, call an ambulance. Then after they made the phone call, they realized that an ambulance may not get here in time. See, because we're at my family's cabin in a small town called Coloma, Wisconsin. You haven't heard of it, I guarantee it. The population's 400 people. So it would take anywhere from a half hour to an hour for an ambulance to get there. And they didn't think I had that much time. They're right. So they grabbed me, put me in the back of my mom's van, turquoise minivan, dope as hell, back in the day, imagine it. And picture this, my aunt driving in the front seat, my grandma in the front seat on the side, giving directions to my aunt And we're not driving on highways. We're back country roads that are just straight ice to get me to the county hospital. So I'm driving 100 miles an hour on these back roads trying to get me there. My mom is in the back seat with me, and she has a rag over my mouth. And the reason why she has a rag over my mouth is because I'm coughing up blood all over the car. Because what happened was, when I was in that field, riding that snowmobile, I got clotheslined by a metal bar. So my throat got hit by an irrigation system. Hit me straight in the throat and crushed my entire throat. So I'm in the back seat of this van, and all my mom is saying to me, 10 years old, her son, her baby boy, stay awake. Stay with me. Because I was losing consciousness and the clock was ticking. By the time I get to the county hospital, I'm out. I'm unconscious, I'm out. They carry me in. County hospital acts fast. They trach me to buy some time, but quickly realized what I needed they couldn't provide. So they called in a bigger hospital in Madison to get a helicopter to fly me in. And I don't remember much, except that it was cold, and I just remember chaos. But I was in and out of it at this point. That was the last thing I remember that day. I woke up, I think it was the next day, might have been the day after. And I had machines all over me in the critical care unit of the hospital. And I'm in and out of it because I'm all drugged up, surrounded by my family, loved ones. And then they told me what happened because I didn't understand what happened because lights went out, right? And I didn't know this at the time, but that night that I came in, they had a 12-hour surgery. I had a 12-hour surgery to try to put my throat back together. Because what happened was my esophagus was completely crushed. My trachea was completely crushed. My larynx was completely crushed. And my vocal cords completely crushed. Everything but the spine was destroyed in my throat. Everything. My skin didn't break, don't know how, but everything was destroyed inside. And they bought me a night. They didn't know if I was going to make it. I found out later I had a 1 in 10 chance of surviving. Worked out. But that was the start of a hell of a road for me. I couldn't eat for a year. So I had a feeding tube. I couldn't speak for a year. So me and my mom, we'd practice sign language in the hospital bed at night as a 10-year-old. Went from being a 3-sport athlete to like learning how to walk again, because if you've ever been in a hospital for a couple months, everything just stops working. Your muscles just deteriorate. And many surgeries later, the last I counted, I've had 34. It was a long road to recovery. My vocal cords still don't work. My voice comes from scar tissue. I got lucky. Now I'm in sales. Couple years of physical recovery. It's probably about 15 years of mental, emotional recovery. I really didn't feel comfortable in my own skin till probably my late 20s. If I'm being real honest with myself. Because of my insecurities. That was the best day of my life. January 16, 2000. Well, second best day of my life. Marrying her was number one. And I tell you that because when you've been through hell and back, making a fucking cold call's not that bad.
It's really not.
It's really not. So there's a couple of stories I'll leave you with that speak to a little bit of my mindset because of what I've been through. And they're both Salesforce stories, and they're both quarter-end stories. So I thought they were relevant. End of Q3, I was at Fins AE, and it was the last day of the quarter. And I had this deal, 100K deal, that I was trying to bring in the last day of the quarter. Now, I was trying to bring in the last day of the quarter because it should have been signed a week earlier. But hey, signers, right? My CIO blew off the signing call that we were supposed to have. And then he blew off the 3 other ones that I rescheduled with him in the next week. And it was the last day of the quarter. My month was riding on it. My quarter was riding on it. My team's quarter was riding on it. And then I asked myself, the fuck else do we have to lose at this point? So I camped out in his lobby for 6 hours. It was one of the financial buildings in downtown Chicago. I forgot which one it was. But I knew where he worked. And I went in the lobby and I waited. And we got it done. Next story I'll tell you. It's Q4. I'm an SB rep. My first Q4 magic. And I'm laying in bed. And I can't sleep. And just to give you some context, I lay down and I'm out. So the tossing and turning thing, I know some of you guys deal with that. I can't even grasp that because it just doesn't happen to me. So this particular night, I was December, and halfway through Q4, I just can't sleep. At this point, it's like 2 hours of tossing and turning, which I'm freaking out because this never happens to me. And there's one thought that just keeps going through my mind. Burn it down. Burn it down. Burn it down. Because what kept going through my mind was I was in the middle of a shit quarter. My first Q4 as an AE, my pipeline didn't look good. And the reality was, the real thing that kept me up is I knew I wasn't doing everything in my control. So I took my badge. At that time, we had 24-hour access to the building. I went to work. 1:30 in the morning, I went to the building. Worked there. It's probably it's all in the app. It's all in Org 62, right? It's all in Org 62. You can look it up if you got access to it. Call my bluff. Worked till 7 a.m. Took a 20-minute nap in the wellness room, break room, and then went back to work the rest of the day. And I kept that mentality through the rest of Q4. And I ended up having a good Q4. Did I think I was going to have a good Q4? Hell no. Did I think I was going to get that deal signed in the lobby? Not a chance. But I wasn't going to create the opportunity for me to look back and say, what if? Here's the harsh truth. We all only got one shot at this thing called life. I was blessed, January 16, 2000, to be reminded of that at a young age. And I use that now. And that fuels my mission. And my mission is simple. When it's my time to go, hopefully many moons from now, when I'm laying on my deathbed surrounded by my loved ones, I just want to know one thing. That I left it all in the field and that I burned it down. Because here's the thing. I'll tell you the secret. There's some things you might be looking for, things you might be aiming for, promotions, more income, leadership, equity, bigger house. I've gotten a good amount of those things. It didn't unlock nirvana, I swear to God. There is no end point where you're just going to unlock happiness. The journey is the destination. So, final words, burn it down. Thank you for your time.